Prison was the worst place that I've ever been, but the best place at the same time. It was what God used to save my life. I would say that I grew up rough, didn't have a father figure in the home for many years. I saw things that maybe a child should never see. God wasn't really mentioned. I didn't think of him. I didn't think about him. As soon as I came of age, I was gone. Went and got a job at a local nightclub down in Buckhead in Atlanta and decided to really become a drug dealer. I worked for 3 months, and then after that I was full-time selling drugs. That was kind of the beginning of the downward spiral. Within about a 3-year time period, I had got locked up several times, got arrested several times, and I collected about 18 felonies. I didn't think I had a future. I had ruined my life. I had all these felonies on my record, and that the only choice I had was to continue being a criminal. There was no other option for me. So it was a night like any other night. I just remember having a dream that night and just got awakened out of that dream abruptly to a 5:45 a.m. morning count. This just sense of doom kind of came over me, and I remember hearing a voice. The voice said, "If you don't make a change, you're going to be in this place forever." I asked the voice the question. I said, "Well, what do I do then?" And the voice said, "You've tried everything else. Try it my way." So I had a friend of mine, and he was a chaplain's aide, and I told him about the dream. I told him what happened, and he was like, "Man, that was the Holy Spirit. That was God, reaching out to you and trying to help you." And I was like, "Well, what do I do?" He said, "I don't know what to tell you to do. Read a Bible, get you a Bible, pray, ask, you need to be asking him what to do." He said, "Try it his way, not my way." I said, "Okay." Well, I went, I got a Bible, I started reading it. A Bible study group comes in. There's a young man in there named Zach. He has a little electrical contracting company. And I was like, "Hey man, I'm about to be eligible to go to work. Would you hire me?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." I started learning the trade. So for that whole year's time, before I got out, I got an opportunity to work and learn the electrical trade. I was just full of joy. It didn't matter what I was doing. I may have still been incarcerated, but I was free. I was set free. Six months after I got out of prison, I had my master's unrestricted electrical license. Once I got my master's license, we started our own company. Most of every guy that I was hiring, and there was some kind of story, there was some kind of history. And the Lord just said to me, "You got to do something about this. You've been there, you've walked the walk, you've talked the talk, you've been on both sides of this. Do something about this." We start calling their defense attorneys. We start calling the district attorneys. I start going to court for them, showing up at their court dates. And we were getting them court-ordered and sentenced to a 1-year faith-based discipleship program, which was just amazing. It was like, hey, go to prison for 5 years or go to this place for 1 year. But then now these guys were graduating and didn't have anywhere to go. So the Lord said, hey, make a place. So we rented our first place. And the first guy that graduated, we said, hey, now we have a place for you to live where we're going to hold you accountable. You have somewhere to stay and you have a job. Jesus said, go and make disciples. That's what he's called us to do. I don't see any way around that. I know that if God could choose a man like me, he wants to choose them too. And I'm sure of it. And it is the absolute driving force that when I look at a man in his darkest hour, that I could look at him and see that God picks him too. He chooses him too. Prison is no place for rehabilitation. We have an opportunity as employers, as ministers of the gospel, to show them that all things are possible through him that loved them. Statistically speaking, if you send 100 people to recovery, 50 leave. But those men who stay the course and they're really committed to know the Lord and learn of the Lord, probably a 95% success rate. And I'm not just talking, when I say success, I'm not just talking about they don't ever use again. No, I'm talking about married, children, promotion, living the abundant life. It's funny, I'll tell them sometimes, look around you at all these men. I was like, every time you go out there, and every time you drill a hole, and every time you pull a wire, and every time you turn a wrench, and every time you dig a ditch, you're paying it forward. The money that you're making, the profit that we're making, it's paying it forward to save the next man. Like, you're doing that. I think that means a lot to them. I think they've accepted that as our culture. And I had to redefine success. I mean, there's been times where things aren't going well, and I thought, man, God, I'm really failing. And he said, look at those men. Like, look, no, you're successful. This is my success.